What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Professional Opinion Show, episode 11. We're getting there, man. Coming
One
off,
more to meet the statistic, right?
yeah, we're still a statistic now, so we got one more left. But ironically, coming off a 1 week hiatus. This time it's all in my court. Was out of, this is probably the most off the grid I think I've been in probably 10 or 15 years. So yeah, we took a little cruise. Took a 5-day cruise, which I thought I paid for like the international cellular plan, and we had some like we paid for some Wi-Fi and stuff, and they're like, yeah, that's cool. We're going out in the middle of the newly proclaimed Gulf of America. And you don't realize, I guess, how small you really are, out in the middle. When every direction you look is just water.
Yeah.
So yeah, once you get out there, it's like, oh yeah, there's not going to be any cell service out here, and there wasn't. So yeah, literally off the grid for 5 days, which was pretty nice. Without having any distractions, and got the kids bouncing around doing all their things. It was a Disney cruise, so they were super stoked at bumping into Mickey and princesses and all that stuff. So
Right.
it was awesome. And then came back to a mountain of things and stuff that just builds up when you're not around. But so yeah, man, what's been up with you?
Not that. I actually, I've always boycotted the cruise idea selfishly, just because Uncle Sam sent me on cruises, and they're I'm sure they're different when Mickey's there, but I've actually heard that Disney does pretty good at entertaining the adults as well on those cruises.
Yeah, we snuck some fun in, but man, they get going, as soon as the daylight cracks open. So by the end of the day, it's just, man, just exhausted. Which they do
Well, and
have.
if your wife is like mine and wants to plan every hour out.
Oh yeah. It's like bouncing from back to back to back to different stuff. Which obviously it's good time, and you'd rather be doing that stuff than your normal day to day. But at the same time, if there are days of that, you just get wore out. Then we came back and just like been trying to. I feel like I'm still trying to catch up on sleep. Just
Need a vacation from the vacation. That always is isn't that always the thing,
dude.
though? Like you get back and it's like, all right, you know what I really would like to do? Like sleep.
Like nothing.
Yeah, just absolute nothing.
Yeah.
A ton of nothingness. Right?
Dude, just being so far up north, man, just coming down to that weather and just sitting in the sun, like going from inside winter to sitting in the sun for 5 straight days too. Like I don't know, my body, I feel like my body was just trying to catch up. Like what the hell is going on here?
Yeah. And you was heading towards the equator, so you were in the sun, bro.
Yeah, we went down to Cozumel. So yeah, we went down pretty far south. I felt pretty far south. Now I looked at the equator and I'm like, oh no, we still got a ways to go. But no, it was a lot of fun. And then I came back to a flood at my house, which was just keep the fun going. Which is why I'm in a little different background today, and hopefully my cheap webcam will keep up with me for this episode. We'll be back in action next week.
Oh yeah, you look handsome, and hopefully your feet are dry. I hate wet socks. It's like number one.
Dude, it was the worst. So I came back. My son was in a soccer tournament. The first game was at like 8 a.m, so we got to be there, 7:30. So I got up, when I heard some water run. I got down. I took like the last step off the stairs. It was like instant cold, wet sock. I'm like, oh man, you just don't even want to turn the lights on at that point.
Correct.
So
just climb back in bed, start over.
I was like, man, this is real life. And then of course didn't have time to really do anything because the game's starting up here soon. So it's like, all right, well, I'm leaving. I'm sure this will be even better when I get back.
Yeah.
So luckily it was only it probably got up to maybe an inch or so, which is still able to quickly dry it out. Didn't do too much damage, but we still got fans blowing, dehumidifiers trying to pull water out of the walls still.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, welcome back.
That's all the scariest part about water too, man. It's like you I mean, I feel bad saying this because I don't want to keep putting sticks on your fire there. But I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but water hides.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It hides and then it grows and then it becomes an issue. And it's just, water damage sucks, dude. But as someone who's very familiar with houses and their goings and tearing things apart, rebuilding. Dude, I don't know if I've ever complimented you on your bathroom stuff, but like, dude, you
What
got a talent.
What do you mean?
Like all the bathroom remodels you've done and stuff, and even at your own
Oh, where'd you
place,
see those
like
at?
I see stuff, dude.
Man, you're like off the
Like,
grid social media guy. Didn't know if you
yeah,
caught me
Kim
there.
Kim brings things around and shows me. But yeah, I see stuff that most of the time, you're right. You'd be right about that. But for the folks that like who Kim knows that like
Right.
I care about and want to
Right.
know what they're doing, she'll be like, or in this particular instance, something that she wishes I would do.
Oh, there
Right?
it is. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look what he
She's
did.
like,
What are you
oh,
doing?
yeah.
Yeah.
Tyler's like, you just cut the grass and you're complaining about bushes. And Tyler just built the whole bathroom that I've been dreaming of.
Yeah. If you give me like 2.5 years, I can get a project done pretty solid. It comes in
Yes, dude.
like
Yeah.
small chunks, and my wife she got this I forget his name, like Dude Dad or something like that. He does this little meme skit where he's like just a few more days construction. I'm almost done. Just got a few more days worth of, I'm like the king of getting a project 90% of the way done where it's functional, and then like in another 6 months to a year,
And like,
like
I'll deal with those details later.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get the rest of it buttoned up eventually, but yeah, and plus like now, like, being most of the time, full-time real estate out there doing other projects, when you come home, it's like I'm so done like with projects. You never want to do it at your own house. And so yeah, my house is a constant. It's like, what section of my house of a project do you want me to show you? And I always got something going on. It's just hardly ever done. But bathroom
I
did turn
think
out
that's
nice though.
no, it turned out gorgeous, dude. But I think any house that is lived in, there's always a project waiting because whether you caused the need for remodeling or whatever, like there's just always something, dude. It always is. That's why I always think that everybody has like just the biggest cojones that signs up to do any kind of home, anything,
Hmm.
whether that's flipping houses or just managing properties or anything in that housing market, dude. Even my little brother and the way that he intertwines with the market, which is more through the material side of
Mm,
it,
yeah.
right? Um, but even that, like, it's a constant. He's always giving me the heads up on the market based off of
What are people
his stuff
buying and
because
stuff?
he's well, and even like so, just like how oil guy can tell you how
Mm,
gas prices are going to reflect.
right, right.
Well, one of his things is lumber, and when he sees them spike, he's like, "Hey, dude, guess what? The housing market's about to get way up there. Your
Right.
square footage is about to be worth way more, and blah blah blah." Which always astounds me, dude, because like that's new lumber. I can understand that. That I'm rocking this like 1980s lumber, dude, and you're gonna tell me that that's holds the same value? Get out of here, dude. Like,
Yeah, it's
but whatever.
yeah, it's
I don't want
crazy
to get on that
to
soapbox.
right, yeah. Huge supply and demand stuff. But dude,
Mhm.
I have a theory that the owners of Home Depot and Lowe's created this Pinterest app. I don't think anyone benefits more from that app than, people, these wives come across these like, oh, this is what I saw on Pinterest. Go build it, and goes, hand Lowe's, $1,000 for all your crap, and come home and get stuff done. And yeah, like you said, it never ends, because when it does, there's another Pinterest corner of your house that you haven't
There
made
absolutely is.
super cool yet. So
And
endless
then there's a poor
opportunity.
guy that had to make it happen that luckily for us made a YouTube video about it that we can
Yes.
follow along
Yeah.
and pretend to ourselves that like this is good enough instruction. We can knock this out.
Yeah. And you get the wall pulled off, and it's like, oh, your wall doesn't look the same on the inside as mine. Well, I guess we're
Where's all
just,
these wires?
I guess we're gonna figure this out. Oh, and that's
That
how
is
people
totally the way
get,
it goes, dude.
that's how people get shocked, and like,
Dude, I literally was blown across the attic because I'm watching this YouTube video of this guy. I don't even know why. Let me remind you, dude, this is Florida. But for some reason, dude, I guess like, I mean, it's Florida, so it's a bunch of, it's like the snowbird capital, right? So most people come here to retire and or die or both or whatever, right? And so lots of old people, low cumin levels, hard to stay warm, body temp. So both of our bathrooms, dude, both of our bathrooms and we're in, lower Alabama, really. But both of our bathrooms had these it's the fans, right? The exhaust fan or whatever, but they're dual action. You can either turn on the exhaust or you can flip the switch down, and it's got a little heater in it, and it heats up the bathroom, right? And when I first saw it, I was like, it's 100 degrees outside and 120% humidity. Why?
Are we lizards? You need a heat lamp?
This is right. But it's what was already in here. So I go to Lowe's because we got to update it because it's like, it's white, but it's not. It's really like jailhouse yellow or something.
Almond.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And so Kim's like, go to Lowe's and see if, they got a newer version of this. And I was like, no, they don't have a newer version. Are you serious? It's Florida. They're going to laugh at me if I'm like, hey, can I get the vented heater for my bathroom? But I'm used to people looking at me like I'm stupid. So I go up in there and I'm like, hey, can I get the vented heater for the bathroom? And the guy's like, yes, right this way. And I was like,
no.
Oh,
man.
And of course there's a new model and it looks up to date and da-da-da. And I'm like, crap. Because now I got to do it. Right. Like, now I got to do it. I was hoping for the no, that doesn't exist, dude. That was only in the 80s. And we don't do that no more. And you kind of stuck with what you got.
Right.
Spray paint it white. Right. And I was going to take it down, spray paint it, and shove it back up there. No hard work needed. And no, there's a whole new thing, whole new wiring diagram, all that. And so, of course, I just take it out of the box, I throw away the instructions, and I open up YouTube. And I'm like, somebody's been here before. And there was a guy. And I'm watching the guy, and I get in the attic. One, this guy was at a place where he needed it, exhaust/heated vent, right? And in his attic, it was probably 70 degrees or lower. This is in the middle of the summer in Florida. And in my attic, because I also bought up one of those thermometer things and hit it.
Right.
It was a smooth 125 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm just raining sweat, dude. I already perspire heavily on my own, right? When I work out, people know I've been working, right?
Yeah.
And little did they know I just finished my warm up, but I rain. So I'm up there, dude, pouring, right? I can't even hold the wire snippers good and pull the little shield off the wire because everything's slipping out of my hands because I'm drowning in sweat. And I'm trying to, at the same time, right, trying to keep this stupid phone from falling over so I can keep up with the video. Can't hear the guy. It's a nightmare. And I'm like, just get through this. We'll pass out later. Don't worry about it. And so I make it to a point where things are starting to look alike. And I'm like, oh, this cable's what he's using. Well, I try to marry up the power, and I don't realize that the cable that I'm tapping to is straight off the breaker box. Yeah. And let me tell you something, dude. How many volts that is or whatever, I don't know. But when you have a titanium right arm and you send that much wattage through your body, your arm will buzz for an hour later. And it is uncomfortable. And so I'm sitting there going, and I'm a perfect conductor because I'm soaking wet. And I'm thinking for the guy out there that's like Bob the Builder, and it's like, well, you didn't test it with the meter to make sure that look, dude, just trying to get things done. All right. I'm in a hurry. I got things to do. Yes, I know. Shut the power off at the breaker box. Then my kids can't play the PlayStation. My wife can't watch people get murdered on live TV or whatever. And it's, everybody's unhappy and Dad's already pissed off. So keep your comments. All right. Later I turn off the power. But I was trying to get it done quickly and literally picked up and tossed to a different side of the attic. Head hitting a couple of joists on the way. I come up. First, I stand up, put my head in the roof that has all the little tacks.
Oh, God.
From the shingles into my bald head. Pissed about that. Arms buzzing, radiating. Step back over. There's a small little fire that I had to put that out. My daughter is below me in the bathroom looking up and is like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I think, look, thanks. Because I had her down there making sure it's lined up and for her to switch the power on to see if it will work. I think clearly it was already on. And so I'm like, look, thank you for helping. Stop helping. I'm going to take a break. Dad needs to take 5. And I'm walking back to come downstairs and get some breath because everything's slowly spinning and like, things are wrong internally. And then I make a misstep, end up in my hallway.
No.
Yes. I just end up in the hallway, dangling, got caught on the same breaker line that was going through. So I'm dangling half body in the hallway. Aubrey comes in and is like, Dad? And I'm like, no, please just keep walking. Like, I'm fine. I climb out, get downstairs, dude, and just lay out in the driveway, sprawled out, just like contemplating life and how I got here and, why do we need this stupid heated vent?
All that for a fan. So you stepped between the joists and fell. Did you catch
Straight
yourself
through,
on your
dude.
elbows, or you went all the way to the
Yep.
bottom?
Nah, caught myself. It'd been better to just go to the floor, to be honest. Rack myself on one of the power lines coming off the breaker box, same one that sent me across the room. It wasn't done. You ever had your
Man.
butt kicked, dude, by a wire twice,
Wow.
like in the same like 10 minutes? And then what I think the most annoying thing, right, is like then you're like committed,
Oh yeah.
right? Like you got to get it done now.
Yeah. Hard
And
headed
you
comes
got
out.
to, exactly, right? Because the last thing you're going to do is accept defeat and call the guy that gets paid to do the thing because he's a professional at it.
Explain to him why where that hole in the
Yes,
drywall
why
came
you're
from.
patching the ceiling. Yes.
Why this whack over here?
And so
Oh
I get it done and I win. There's 2 of them.
no way.
And so the second one, I start crawling back to look, dude, and just the angle of the roof, like a gnome put the first one in. Like, and I'm a small guy. Now I can't fit, like there's not enough clearance to do all the stuff and things that I just did on this other one. Like I don't know how that thing, it's like they built that first and then put a roof on the house.
Oh
It's the
my
weirdest
God.
thing ever. And so now we have a really nice, if you go in the guest bathroom, right, good to go. If you go in our bathroom, we've been here since 2018.
Still there,
I bought 2 vents. There's one brand new. This has been in the garage for I don't know how many years now.
Oh my
And you can go turn our exhaust fan on and it goes,
No way.
and you know what? We love it.
Yeah.
And we just deal with it.
Yeah. I'm sure Kim loves it. That's your favorite fan in the house.
It works the best, dude.
Oh my God. That is
You cold, sit under that thing, dude. It might catch fire.
It's so funny because I can see myself doing it, but it's more funny picturing you doing it. Flying across the attic.
It's such a disaster, dude. Up in that attic, I don't know how many times, and 3 times it's almost killed me.
Yeah.
Going back to what we were just saying, dude, like I mean, some of it's just stupid pride, but a lot of it, I would argue, is that information is just in abundance, and it just you're like, this is too easy. All this stuff is right here, da 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 da, and then as we've talked about on here before, you find out very quickly that one, there's a tool for every job, and they're crucial. You could pull up all the tile with just a little pick and a hammer, or you could go rent the thing from Sunbelt and be done in a day versus a lifetime.
Still get to keep all the skin on your hands. Yeah.
Correct.
Oh man.
God, that was probably the worst. God bless those people, dude. The tile removal and grout sucks. But I will say this, that I think there's something we need to actually like pause and talk about, is that when you do these like these ventures and these self or what do they call them, DIY projects,
yeah.
or what,
Do it yourself.
yeah, there is a respectable amount of knowledge, I believe, that's gained in these ventures that actually are, especially now the more technical we get and like software reliant, these are actual skills that are good to know. I'll never forget when my daughter was leaving to go to college and she had to grab something out of the dryer before she left and asked me out loud which one was the dryer. I was like, I have failed.
I remember you told me that. Couldn't believe it.
And she's excelling, like not only like thriving in school, but like excelling like above her peers. She just she just won some competition. She submitted that she had to, she's doing graphic design, and she had to submit this it was like a sticker competition or whatever, the design sticker, and there's supposed to be this first, second, and third place, right? There wasn't. They just went, the powers that be were like, nope, just taking one winner, and it's this one.
Nice.
And then, which I told her right now, like, hey, take what you can get and drop it in the portfolio. But
Right.
from here on out, if this ever happens again, we go to legal first, because
Right.
there's prize money associated with it, right? But along with said prize money, they also ended up bringing her this form for her to authorize the sale and reproduce. Like, they're gonna make shirts of this thing,
100%.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, she killed it, dude. I was like so impressed at, like, man, some people just got it, dude. And like, she's one of them. Just the way that which me and Kim always said, like, we don't know how we made her, dude. Like, because me and Kim were both like the troublemakers in our crew, the wild ones, and my daughter has always been like old soul, knows, like, thinks first, acts later. Dude, I just act, and I don't even know that I've done it. You know what I mean? Like, until I'm already facing the consequences, then my brain thinks about, like, how do we get here? Oh
That
yeah, we
checks.
did, yeah.
With
It's just,
math.
and it's wild, but she is, yeah, dude, she's crushing,
Shout out
crushing it.
Aubrey, yeah, and probably one of our most faithful listeners too. So appreciate that,
Yes, for
Aubrey.
sure.
I
Yeah,
tried to get.
yeah,
I
for
don't know
sure.
if you asked her, but this is me asking Aubrey if you wanna. You're probably super busy at school, but if you wanna design a new logo for the show, we'd love to see what you come up with.
She's bought that up. She
Yeah.
told me exactly what program to use. I don't
Hey,
remember, but
and we'll give you all the rights to anything there. So we won't rip
there
you
you
off
go.
like the sticker project.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
dude, that's how those things go. It's like, oh, here's this contest, but we get to full ownership of anything that's developed here. And it's actually, dude, they do that a lot. That back in my other job when I was managing software folks, they do that too. They're like, oh, come up with these cool software ideas, but we own it all. Anything you develop on that you turn in, as part of this project. Um, yeah, it's kind of crazy. But no, you're
No,
right.
it's a
Yeah,
great business model.
it is. Yeah, no, but you're right. Yeah, that's why you got to kind of get on the front end of getting some legal counsel in there, kind of coaching you up what you're supposed to be doing. But I mean, I think she's still probably in the stage of like, got to, because you do have to build that portfolio,
Correct.
and collect
Yes.
the evidence, and then, but yeah,
You have to build that. You have to build your own reputation,
mm-hmm.
uh, get in the circles. We had to meet, D1, the new gig. My beard and everything is as pretty as it'll ever get, because I got all groomed up we were invited to sit down with the local middle school principal, because he heard about us and wanted to discuss, how we could get involved with the school, what possible things we could help them with. Because, dude, this town, like most towns in the South, this town does ball, dude. Like, they do ball. All of it. Lacrosse,
Mm-hmm.
basketball, soccer, football, softball, all of it. And every little sport that they have either takes it in the county, or most times like state champs. Like, it's wild. And so when you're talking about, you've built something that will help athletes and performance, like,
Right.
I don't want to say that I was surprised, but still kind of, because there's a lot of legalities and stuff, and then you have to get parents buy-in and
Right.
everything. But we go up there and we're sitting down with the principal, and we start talking, all the things we can offer, da 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 da, and along the lines of this, right, where it's like you start seeing, like, people are trying to pitch that same model. It's like, hey, like, I want to help you, but I need you kind of help me help you
Mm-hmm.
by, like, showing me. And it's the same. I find this all the time in fitness, man, because fitness is a tough industry. Because, I mean, when you think about it, like, the what you're really peddling, right, is hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're trying to sell commitment and hard work. Like, and so those, the the two easiest things to give up on.
Yeah.
And so it's funny. Everybody always thinks that there's this like workaround or
The hack. What's the
quick.
hack?
Yes, exactly, dude. Yeah. Where's the easy button? And so everybody always thinks that like I can come in and that there's this like magic program that I can give them. And if they just follow this to the T, well, if you could follow anything to the T, I wouldn't be here in the first place. And a lot of times, like I tell people, and I shouldn't because it's really like bad marketing, but like more often than not, I find myself as a paid accountability partner more so than anything else. Now I know all the science and stuff behind it and what the data says and progression models and whatnot. But like at the end of the day, if you haven't been doing anything and we just start doing something and we do that something consistently, we get results. Right. And it's even easier when you're talking younger kids. Like you're middle school, high school, especially middle school about to be high school when the hormones are just full, like
Firing,
it's free steroids just ripping through. Like you don't even have to be good, dude. You could take them to the middle of nowhere and be like, you see that big boulder, push it and keep pushing it till you can pick it up. When you can pick it up a lot. And then when you can pick it up a lot, throw it. And then when you can throw it, and it's just like, it's really, it always wows me that people think that there's this like, it's not, dude. There's no complexity. It's not, there's no secrets. Nothing's hidden, right? Unfortunately, like we were just talking about earlier, with the abundance of information that's available to people, there's a lot of misinformation as well, where people like publicize things as a guaranteed method or idea and don't take into consideration that that is true for them and maybe even like individuals, but more oftentimes them, specifically their makeup and their build like works for them, right? But yeah, it's funny, dude, what knowledge is power, but it can also it can be misleading. Sometimes you can, just because you have the information, you have bullet points, but you don't have the context in which these main ideas derive from, and it's, I think oftentimes we try to, it's what's the, oh man, jack of all trades, master of none.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. And, people tend to think that with YouTube and the Pinterest and the other apps, so TikTok's ideas, you can combine with these powers combined, you just rule the world.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like you said, it's almost dangerously abundant, the stuff you can find. And really, I think your addict fixing thing is a perfect analogy for, that. It's like, hey, if you would have had the exact same fan in the exact same situation, yeah, you can watch that. But if one thing's different and you don't know the why behind why he did what he did, now you're like
100%.
Now you're flying across an attic for free. You get a free trip across
Right.
that. Same thing with, you could give somebody the perfect workout plan, and if it's like if their body type or there's something's way off, like that, you might get hurt, or you know what I mean. And this is huge in the. I think probably I'd say fitness stuff is probably the hardest to sell, and then right behind it is the money thing, like money coaches or success coaches. Like everybody's looking for the hack there, and it's like the same thing. This might work perfect for exactly what I'm trying to do, but you pick it up and you don't know any context or why, or you're gonna get yourself into a mess quick. And yeah, it's just I think that is the downside to this abundance of information is try to pick it up and run with it, and I'm probably gonna go fine.
It's funny that I see a lot, and really, and I'm gonna of course go back to fitness because again that's my safe space. But in all applications, right, especially online, I see this where people get so lost in the sauce, dude, and in the details of it all, right? That where it's all right. So without getting myself in trouble, right? Like, so when everybody's ready to make this change, right? I'm gonna make this new year, new me, make this change, and they get on the laptop and they start the Googles, and then they, a couple of Joe Rogan podcasts later with some experts and and then followed up with, some more plowing down the rabbit hole of, by the way, which the one expert, oddly enough, we're all built different and there's different things, but he has the way
Oh
that
yeah.
works for everyone, right? This is you just trust me when I say never have mustard again and your life will be better, right? Like, and I watch this all the time where people will, instead of like, this kind of goes back to the last episode that we had, dude, where it's like, how about you just get out of bed? Step one,
Yeah.
right? Let's just start step one. Just stand up. Let's
Right.
start easy, right? Instead of like everyone just overcomplicates the piss out of everything, dude. And it's not, even if there's objective information in the findings of this, expert in whatever the thing is, that's cool, man.
Right.
But you got to have a foundation to build off from first, right? Like if you go straight into like worrying about the nuts and bolts and all these fine details, like you're going to get so overwhelmed, you're not going to get past step one, right? And it's like, let's not worry about all the, gluten and this one ingredient and this thing, right? Like, because one, if you really have a problem with it, guess what, dude? You've been to the hospital a couple of times and you have identified that, like, no, this legit, like, I can't mess with this, right? Not like, I believe this is causing a flare up.
Right.
A
Yeah.
flare up? Can we point specifically to where this, because a flare would insinuate that there is a notable change that we can see, and like, where is this? I just feel it. Okay, that's a feeling, not a flare. And so everybody always tries to like, and I'm serious when I say everybody, dude, in my world, this is all the time. My kid, it'll be something as simple as this comment. My kid just needs to put on a little extra weight. Okay, eat. You want to grow? Eat, right? Well, yeah. But, we have to have, I've been doing my research and we need, I know we need protein, but we need whey isolate, pure carnivore protein with blah, blah. Oh, you do? Yeah, that's how it works. Just buy the most expensive form of this supplement, right? And just shovel it. Don't do anything else. Right?
No, absolutely
Don't like
not.
change your sleeping habits. Don't hydrate. Don't like, make sure you're mentally and prepared for this, or that you know how to do any exercise at all. Like, you're right. We're just going to buy this uber expensive thing because this other guy said everything else is crap and we need to toss it out. Like, I just had this conversation with my boss today, dude. Do you ever think about this? And maybe it's only me, and I'm sorry. I know I'm on my soapbox and I'm squirreling a bit here, but let's take into consideration for a second, right? Like, I get so frustrated when people, doctors, strength coaches like myself, teachers, all this, where's a really big button? Where can I really fire people up? ADHD. Hey, let's go there, right? All right. My kid's ADHD. I got to pump him with these drugs. I have to like take all this stimulus away from him. He can't handle too much because he just gets overexcited. And like, this is an actual condition and blah, 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 blah. And listen, man, I hear you. And in terms of conforming to the institution, it is a condition. Let me repeat that real quick. And when trying to comply with the terms of the institution in which you have enrolled this kid, not in terms of, let's just take it back to original design. This is my whole perspective and lens of which I try to again, pull that microscope out and look at the world, right? Let's just take it back to like pure survival, right? Guess what? I'm putting my money on the diagnosed ADHD kid that can't sit still on surviving versus the sedentary, sit still drone in the back, right? That like we forget is there, other than the fact that someone's worried he's going to find out about firearms, right? This is like the reality, right? We're constantly trying to diagnose and
it's got to
put
be
people on these-
something. I mean, it's got to be. There's got to be something why it can't.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be because the block schedule has been around since BC. Like and everyone has always and forever had to get on and look at Quizlet and go through all these ideas that we hold relevance, despite the fact that I only know no one that's doing algebra right now for their job. But the the just seriously, dude, and it's like people were wondering like why everyone is we all the things that we've talked about on here. Why we have so many depressed people? Why are probably 92% of military spouses on trazodone for anxiety and all this? Like, why is it that, we have all these health problems and the blah, blah, blah. And my favorite thing that I love to circle back to on this, right? And I'm not done with the ADHD kid, right? Because, like, let me tell you something. You get that kid to me for an hour, I bet he'll calm down. Guaranteed. But more than calm down. I bet he'll sleep through the afternoon and still have plenty of sleep to give to the night. The thing is, we're giving up on things like art, PE, and all these activities because all we're concerned about is the almighty dollar. So we just stick to English, math, and science. The big hitters that get jobs where we sit and do nothing in this sedentary office, all wasting away with our general wealth and health. But, the bank account looks good. And at least we can buy a nice coffin when we die 20 years earlier than we should have, as the government intends, because there's too many of us. But,
Man, he's
dude,
drummed on a lot of drums there.
yeah. Well, because it's so annoying, man, because everyone, like, the question's slightly different. They're all getting at the same thing, dude. And the root of the problem remains the same as well, right? We're trying to, like, figure out why we're adapting to the situations that we have created. And the situations that we created, what do you know, man? They probably don't totally follow the original design. And so these are the consequences of trying to put a square peg in a round hole, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I just, like, I get so bent out of shape, dude, when I'm sitting here, and not to mention also, right, like every parent I talk to has just birthed the next Michael Jordan, and, like,
Of course.
they're just awesome. And if I tell them that, due to science advancements and all these stuff and things, that, like, yes, we can optimize people to the best version of themselves that they could ever hope to get to with hard work. But what separates you from college ball and pick your 3-letter organization in the league, right, is genetics.
Right.
And at some point, right, like, it just has to be this innate genetically gifted structure combined with the right mentality to foster the hard work, right? One of the greatest athletes, right, that people don't talk about too much is, like, Kobe Bryant.
Oh,
Kobe
yeah.
Bryant was an anomaly, dude. For the simple fact that there was nothing special about Kobe, like, height-wise, muscle strength, like, he was average. If you looked at him across the board, like, he's just the normal guy. And his work ethic was just it's probably unhealthy. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't committed. He was obsessed. And that obsession is what put him up there with the greats, because he was literally, dude, like, battling, like, Michael Jordan, absolutely talented and one of the hardest workers, but he was also, in his time, in his era, right, genetically gifted.
Right.
Now he'd be a regular against the norm, because another thing that exercise science has done and marketing has done a real good job at finding. They look for the genetics first,
Right.
and
Across the
then they're
globe,
like,
yeah.
correct.
Yeah, instead of just the inner cities, yeah.
They find yes, they find the gene pool, and the inner city athletes are always so much better, dude, because the resiliency's already there. They've already, like how they say, like, iron sharpens iron, right? And one of my old mentors of mine always says that, people only talk about the iron sharpening iron, but no one ever talks about how that iron was forged first it was first like manipulated, tampered, beaten into like the piece of iron that it is. Like it had to be forged. And
Mm-hmm.
forging is a brutal process, right? And so like the most of your top tier athletes and stuff like that, like it's why LeBron is so different than Brownie. There's two very different upbringings. Now, genetically gifted enough like to get in there, and economically blessed enough to have all the bells and whistles to train appropriately,
Yeah.
but did not forge in the same manner, and therefore just, I mean, you can see it, dude. The drive's just different,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Now he'll get there just out of hatred for everybody talking
Yeah.
crap about him and how he'll never live up to dad or whatever. But like, which I also assume is why there's not a Jordan out there in the NBA playing, because I wouldn't even try to step in that shadow, dude.
Right.
Like, and the fierce competitor that I've always heard Michael Jordan was probably wouldn't let you anyway.
Yeah.
Like, cause they act like he was that sick about it, dude. Like everything was like life or death competing all the time. And so it's funny because with this abundance of information and this, like, everyone thinks that they can build and recreate on their own and do this stuff and thing. And no one just steps back ever, dude, and says, well, let me just get the basics right first and let's grow on that.
Crazy
It's,
idea.
yeah, it's again goes right back to our podcast we had before this, where we talk about the process and not the end state. And it's just, I mean, it's why my coaching motto, dude, is what it is, which is, if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Right. And if it was
Period.
simple as what do they say? If it was just information, there's libraries across the world, everybody'd have 6-pack abs. You just read a book about it, and boom, there it is. But speaking of the easy button, I am curious around this one. I feel like these fads come in and out all the time, but this one has seemed to stuck around forever. Or at
I
least the
swear, if you're about to say something about a 30 or 70 day thing, send it. Let me hear.
no. This is something I just based on the way it's presented, who presents it, and that person marketing the thing too.
Here
I
we go.
just think it's bullshit. But have you heard about the hydrogen water bottle? The hydrogen water, dude. Let these folks know what your thoughts are on hydrogen water. I've been seeing it so much. I'm like, am I really missing out on this hydrogen water, or does Gary Brecka just really want to sell me his product? I don't know.
All right. I actually have clients that have these water bottles.
The easy button. That's all you got to do. You just got to drink hydrogen water.
That's it, dude. You just need more hydrogen. Definitely need more hydrogen, because H2O, it's just one hydrogen, right? So obviously, if one hydrogen with two oxygen molecules, and we have to have water to stay alive, well, why not more of the H's as well? Because that's gonna, that'll do it. Again, let's just take this back to original, right? Do you think cavemen were walking around grabbing water from the river going, feels like the hydrogen's pretty low over here, right? And okay, you have the hydrogen water. Good for you. There's probably, I mean, I can find metadata, right? I can find analytics and all this schematics. I can find all these different forms of measurement data to support that the one thing that I'm doing right here has a benefit, right? It either creates a stimulus or it's a negative feedback loop, positive, right? In some way, shape, or form, it's beneficial, right? There is no one thing that one benefit is enough to take away from all the other mistakes, right? So you can suck down a gallon of hydrogen plus. All right, I just feel stupid even saying it, because like water has hydrogen. All right, so let's just like all agree that
it's only two elements, right?
I mean, right? It's H2O, so it's there. Maybe there's less because each state decides through its local government how much acceptable BS can filter into your water system, which is, thanks Michigan for making sure everybody understood that. But so if you are, playing chemist with your own water, then sure, maybe it's a better water for you. But if you still haven't figured out how to get past this alcoholism or this meth, that you like, who cares, right?
Right.
If you can't clock more than 4 hours of sleep a day, doesn't matter. If your marriage is still in shambles and you're behind on your finances and you hate your job, it doesn't matter, right? This, like, all of this is such, again, like, let's just start with the easy stuff, right? Like that, and you're only going to see benefits at that level when everything is dialed in and
Right.
you can measure it up. There is this one thing I've seen out there. There's this series, and I haven't set myself down long enough to see it. And I'm so curious. I want to it's this guy that, like, his plan is to live forever. And he
I have
thinks,
seen that guy.
I think it's like a Netflix series or something. I don't remember, but
Oh,
like a documentary. And it's this guy that is convinced that with how far we've made it in technology and what we know in exercise science, kinesiology, all this stuff, right? And which, sure, like dude, I'd kill to be 16 years old right now
mhm,
for my training purposes. Cause I know, given just simply the recovery methods that are available to us now, oh
mhm.
my gosh, dude, I could kill the me I am now when I got, to the age. There's just so much more that we know. But this guy believes that we know absolutely more than a little bit and enough that, like, if he keeps these running analysis and stays on top of it and makes sure that, like, his magnesium level is correct, his calcium level, he always has this constant sodium potassium right in his bloodstream and all this. He's clocking his sleep, he's measuring his heart rate variability against his VO2 mix, and he's staying the healthiest person in the world, right? Meals are
Mhm.
planned out, no gluten, no fructose or these fake sugars, alcohol sugars, no fake bread, no starches, no, all these things that our government has signed off as okay to be pumped out and quickly manufactured because, Kellogg's needs money and to cast the votes the right directions. But it's like, I just want to, one, like, this is a guy with too much money. This is a guy
Yeah.
with too much money. I already know he has too much money, and he has with all the evidence that he has to support that he is the best version of himself and most heavy, there is mountains and mountains of evidence that suggest no one gets out alive, bro.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and like if you're gonna put that much focus, like he may be the most self-proclaimed healthiest man, but like, is I guess maybe that's your measuring stick of success. But have you ever had
Correct.
fun? Have you ever enjoyed
Exactly,
something?
dude. Right. That's a great question, right? Like, what is your perspective of living? Because what just seen in the trailer, like, that's not
Right.
living.
Yeah. What
That
the?
dude he's a guinea pig.
Right. I think I didn't see like a show. I saw somebody was interviewing him, and I heard like self-proclaimed whatever. Then he started going on. I'm like,
Yeah,
holy cow! Yeah, and then he said something like he thinks he'll live forever. Yeah, it's like what the hell?
yeah. And they run his blood work every day. And it's like, yeah, no, it's crazy, dude. And again, like, here's what's funny. But because there's still this thing that people love to act like isn't real, and this genetic makeup, right? And this unfortunate or fortunate hand me down from this bloodline that you come from, right? Where, like, I don't care how healthy he is, dude. If Thor walks in there and decides to squish his head like a pimple, like, that dude's gone.
Right.
Like, it doesn't
Uh,
matter how your macros are lining up and what your blood work says, where your cholesterol's at. When the 7 foot, 300 pounder comes in there and decides it's your time, like, have you been practicing shooting? Because that's about the only way.
hey, I did
So
hear
it's
something that sounded realistic to me, and so I want to get your thoughts. I know this is like your space here, but he said this guy's name is Peter Attia. I've like heard him in multiple different sources, but he said the best predictor of longevity for someone's life is their VO2 max. Would you agree with that? Measure
no,
of your VO2 max? No.
no.
All right. Well, thought it was gonna be one for one
Because,
here, but
I would say, like, in terms of what though, right? Because so here's what you're your VO2 max will tell you, dude, it's just another threshold, right? I can increase my VO2 max to where, that is the amount of oxygen that comes into your alveolar sacs in your lungs, right? Per, you know what I mean? How much
Hmm.
can you pull in, right? And so,
To be
no,
fair,
dude, it's just,
I should have probably said. So he was, and I guess it's relative. So he was like, if we measure,
yes,
this
there it is.
person's, and then for each age group against this baseline, he said there's like, if you're above this baseline, you have a 400x, percent chance to live longer than somebody with this low. Um, so that at least made sense to me because in my mind, it's like the more active and the more strenuous workouts you do, you're probably going to be in better shape. But I don't know,
Correct.
some of that stuff
Correct.
goes.
Yeah. Until the butterfly shows up, right? It was like you've been working your butt off and you got this perfect VO2 max. You're coming out of the gym exhausted because you're trying to increase it because this dude told you to make you live forever. And now you're, slightly off tilt, not really paying attention, not looking at your peripherals. And Ricky Bobby, who's never even heard of VO2 max, just slammed the Edward Scissors 40 challenge and is behind the wheel and just mows you down. Like, so it's,
There it
yes,
is,
it's all relative, dude. And the best part is, right, we have all these plans with our life and then life happens.
man.
So it's like you said, like, and this is coming from someone who's, I don't, to the person that's not me, from their own perspective, would say that I'm very regimented and, like, they would probably would ask me, like, when am I getting some fun in?
Hmm.
Right? In comparison to the gym pop, right?
Right.
Um, but which I think we as Americans have so much backwards. It's just unbelievable. But hey, we have the freedom to be idiots and assholes. But for me, right? Like I feel good for the amount of time that I do invest in my physical, mental, and spiritual health. I don't feel like overshadows or complicates any other relationships outside of my own self-interest. I feel like I still have a pretty good friend group. My kids love me. My wife tolerates me. Like
Mm.
the, and I mean, God, man, me and Kim, it's 21 this year.
Man,
Yeah, dude.
kudos. That's
Yeah,
yeah.
dude. And statistically, we should have never made it because we only physically together 3 months, time clock together 6 months before engaged, married 2 weeks later. And then I went straight to Iraq and she's like, everybody's going to think we're doing it for the money. And I was like, we're exactly doing it for the
That's
money,
right.
dude. We're poor. We're like, yes, this is exactly why we're doing it. But if
Oh
when I come
man.
back, are you going to marry me? Yes. Then yes, let's get this money.
Right.
Like, but so even from that analogy, right? And I'm not talking about bad about anybody. I'm just saying, just to we're in comparison of kind of what we're talking about, right? Your hydrogen bottle water and high VO2 max versus, you know, Bob over here with his Bush Light and like Netflix account. So it's the same when you're looking at relationships, right? Like me and Kim, kind of in the realm of most relationship building, still strangers when we're engaged and married. I don't even think I knew she wore glasses till I was coming back from the deployment. I was like, oh, that's new. But versus we're about to celebrate 21, right? Versus you see this all the day, the all the time, all the day. You see this all the time where it's these immaculate fairy tale Clydesdale white horses pulling in the carriage with the bride and all this, like millions and millions of dollars dumped into this. They spent 3 years together and engaged for however long, and they're waiting until they have kids so they have this phenomenal career and everything, like blah blah blah, and they make it a year and a half,
Hmm.
and everything is find out that old buddy's in love with his job more than the girl, and part of the job is getting girls and whatever, versus like our preacher showed up on a Harley with a pack of hundred, the Cadillac cigarettes? They were the Winstons, bro.
Oh,
Probably
Winston.
Winston's Cadillac style, probably non-filtered too. He had the cigarette like stain in his
Stain. Oh
mustache.
yeah.
Yeah.
My guy.
He called me the wrong name the
That
whole ceremony.
you can't
Kept
make
calling
that
me
up.
kept calling me Brett. We had zero family members present. We didn't have a nice chapel. We opted for the chapel on base because it was free. We did a little party after the wedding. We drank too much, ate some crappy cake, had to deal with the law because someone drove into our car trying to like steal something from the mall that we were partying at. So we got a sweet picture of Kim in a wedding dress in the back of a police cruiser. People were walking by thinking that, well, this ain't starting off
Man, you
well.
guys aren't off to a good start there.
Right.
Do you might
And
go ahead?
go ahead. Oh, and then, I think we were together almost a year exactly when she told me she was pregnant with Aubrey. And I was a 22-year-old dad going like, man, how am I going to work this into like Schooner's Thursday night party? Like, and then what I have to explain to all the psychologists throughout my military career because they all want to know
Right, the switch,
what did that with me versus my background and how I ended up. And I always point it back to that was the one thing I knew I was going to crush. And when it came to fruition, like it just kind of, not everybody with a kid's a parent, but it was the one thing that I wanted to be. And so that kind of like pulled in my focus. And I will say 22, bro. So not like immediately.
Right.
There's some growing pains
I'm
in
sure.
that. But I quickly realized like, some things do got to give or at least become in moderation. But yeah, so there's no, like you can have the big wedding, dude. Like do that, like celebrate. Like, and if you got it, right, if that's in your pocket and you can swing it, swing it. Don't swing it because you saw the Jones do it and now you're starting off in the slump, right? So if you can have extra hydrogen in your water, put it in there, right? But if you're not getting 120 ounces a day, let's just focus on that first. Then go for the pretty stuff, the extra stuff, the extra. Because that's what it is, dude. It's just, you're just being extra, right? It doesn't matter how long the limousine is, if it's even there, that drives you away to your honeymoon. What matters is that the person you're going on the honeymoon with loves you.
Man.
Right? That actually turns out that it's important.
That's some rewind that and listen again. That's some good advice. And I'm trying to log on here and return my hydrogen water bottle. No, I'm kidding.
But
no, I even knew that one.
Even with the VO2 max, dude, like if you can improve it, because it is a measurement of better health, right? But again, there's no one thing. You have to live the lifestyle, right? And what people fail to realize, dude, is, and this is why I've jumped on board with this company that I'm a part of, because I mean, of course, they're in it to make money, and there's marketing, and there's all that and the stuff and things. But there's also like again, the same thing we've been talking about. Ironically, I would say the theme that we keep hitting on with this is working on the foundation of everything first, right? And having this baseline understanding and practices. And for this organization that I'm part of now, this D1, they preach a very like holistic approach, because they know there's no one thing, dude. There's not. There's not a special water. There's not a special diet. There's the thing that you're going to do consistently and that you're going to be passionate about. And I've seen it, dude, where what we were talking about before, where this kid comes in that's just innately and genetically gifted and has experienced a little bumpy roads and has this level of mental resiliency that allows them the perspective of what actual, like, because hard work, right, is subjective, but like what actual like grinding, right, looks like, and has it all. And then you come in one day, dude, and guess what? He's gotten in a fight with his girl, or she's gotten a fight with the dude or girl or what, right? Like a relationship. It doesn't even have to be like the love. It could just be a mom and dad issue or friend, right? There's a hiccup in the emotional side, which you can tie to the spiritual side of the pillar, right? Because community is that spiritual thing, right? Because it takes a village, not one person. And so there's been a hiccup in a relationship of theirs. And guess what, dude? What they were doing yesterday, they can't do today because that whole concept isn't connected, right?
Mhm.
The same as if they're about to, especially with high schoolers now, dude, and all the pressure with NIL for athletes. Great. You're a stud athlete.
Mhm.
And imagine this, dude. This is real. This is happening right now in present day. You're 17, 18-year-old, right? 17, 18 years old. You have just stared at a contract that is more money than you're ever going to see in your life, and you know it. You
Mhm.
know that you're like at best, right, a B student, right? And you had to work your ass off to get there. And now here comes this opportunity presented to you in contractual agreement to change your life economically forever, right? And we don't need to get into all the how that really pans out,
Yeah.
but let me tell you, money doesn't solve all your problems. But you can buy a boat. But like this is real, Tyler. This is happening to these kids right now, right? 17,
Mhm.
18 years old, been handed trophies their whole life, not used to any form of friction and a loss, right? And now they have to sit down for this ACT, SAT, right? And they have to score good enough to be accepted into the university that
Mm.
wants to pay them. This
Ouch.
test
Yeah.
just turned into the hardest thing in your life
Right.
because you've put in the work in the gym. You have the natural ability and genetics to like you're gonna do fine on the platform. Like
Mhm.
you have been excelling in the game. You know the game, and you know the thing. But the dude, the I cannot imagine now for the first time. It's real. This
Oh.
anxiety and stress that you're talking about, that people are, that's real, and it's on the shoulders of which, hey man, you're old enough to take a bullet and go to war. You're an adult,
Mhm.
but still, dude, like I can't imagine the pressure that some of these kids are dealing with. And so now imagine you sit down, you go through that take that test, right? When you come out of there, all that other stuff, dude, if you had to go to the gym and perform, you're not doing good that day because just
Right.
mentally you have been taxed, right? So it
Mhm.
all matters, dude. It all matters. That holistic thing is so real, right? If you're not taking care of it on all levels, it's the reason why I think you see more often than not these. I've talked about this before. These big blue chip CEO owners and stuff
Mhm.
have a health regimen and routine.
Yeah.
They work out, but
Shit
because
matters.
they know, dude, they gotta take care of everything.
Right.
You can't pick this one thing, right? You can't be like, well, I had 64 ounces of HHH
Hey, JJ.
2020, right? Like, what in the world?
Yeah. Full
So
circle.
yeah,
No, yeah, I get it. I think the VO2 thing hit for me, and maybe it's just because that's what I wanted to hear. Because for me, I took a pivot away from strength and trying to like build certain things. It's just like, man, my measure of success is like, did my heart rate stay up for a long time? All right, like that's the only muscle I really care about working anymore, other than like not a
that's
performance
terrible,
athlete
Tyler.
like you. Yeah, I know.
You don't need here's the misconception with strength training, right? Because strength training is always mentioned in terms of muscle size, the amount of weight moved on a barbell, and that is not why science gave strength training the place on the shelf that it did. Strength training holds value because when you put your muscle under stress, it promotes stronger bone density, right?
Mm,
It's to stave off osteoporosis as we age and stuff. And we're actually finding out now there used to be this belief that as we age, right, you lose this ability to gain any more strength or grow muscles. It's kind of like, oh, well, you got what you got when you were in your youth, and like you can hold on to that for as long as you can, but then you're going to have muscle atrophy kick in as you get older, and that's going to go away too. And then, you're back in a diaper and you die. All right. Hopefully you just remember that you're you and this is your family, whatever, right? Call it a win. But we've found out that like also not true because there's one of the good things that CrossFit actually did for us was figure out how to market the community and bring people together, which people like being a part of something, whether it's a hate group or a church, doesn't matter. They just want to be involved.
Right.
And so older people got involved and started training, mostly incorrectly, but still enough to put the body under enough due stress to find out. There's this one old lady out there, dude, and I believe in her like late 70s maybe, that they were pulling muscle biopsies from and studying, and she was actually like growing.
Really?
Which is phenomenal to hear, right?
Yeah. Hell
And
yeah.
maybe this guy waking up pulling his blood every day to take that evidence even further,
Yeah.
but which would be awesome. That then he'd be a very good guinea pig. But
Yeah.
yeah, dude. At the end of the day, man, I think like, what does a good life look like to you, dude? Right? Like for me, like I want to be able to wipe my own butt, dude. I've watched a lot of people die, and I've watched a lot of people get old and die, and both seem to suck. But honestly, if I had to only pick one of the two, I would not go for the getting old and dying. That is like, man, dude, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Especially like when you really stretch those years out, dude. Like it's brutal. Even watching like a furry friend get super old sucks, dude. So I'm just gonna go fight a bear the first time I poop on myself and I didn't plan it.
Oh, there it is. That's a quick tip. I think if everybody just asked themselves that question, what do I want this life to look like? What does happiness look like? It'll take you a long way. So
what does happiness look like is the big one, dude. I think, and I'm be honest with you, dude. Like I struggle with that one.
It's a journey.
Like,
I think if you,
right?
Unless you're asking yourself that question or you're self-aware, like, is this taking me where I want to go? Versus, I think where most people just fire from the hip, or this is what I should be doing. My dad said, I should be going to this college. And like, what do you want to? I don't know. Probably a deep rabbit hole. Yeah. I was gonna say it's too late in the show to start down that hole.
That's a great question, though.
So, in the interest of wrapping this one up, something I was going to say before, but may share quickly as our cool story, unless you have a really cool one. I didn't realize it before, but I think you might be the only one who can top Barb and I's wedding in hillbilly style.
Yeah.
I thought I had the best one, but I don't know. I think you might have got me. However, still pretty cool. So I was down in Charleston in the dorms. I was still an airman in the dorms. She came down to stay with me. And then my first shirt, she was living in the dorms. You're not supposed to. My first shirt came and did an inspection. Fortunately, he was on our softball team and football team and stuff. Super cool. But so he was like, hey, man, somebody in your room, like, you can't do that. But kind of same scenario as you, like we were kind of already knew what trajectory we were on. We're like, well, why don't we go ahead and just like make this thing legal? Then we can get an apartment off base and do all that, get that extra money and stuff. So while she was there, she had like a day and a half left before she had to go home. So we're like, all right, well, go get a license. All we need is a notary to sign this license and make it legal. So we found this online notary. So we go down to he was in a trailer. So we go like off this
where
random,
they go.
Yeah. It's random trailer park, pull off in this trailer with our, marriage license. This dude gets up. He's in like his flip flops. He puts on his suit jacket on. And he's like, do you guys want to sign this thing and just go? Or do you want me to like read through the thing at like the same time? Like my voice said like, sign it. And Barb's like, no, we want to do the thing. So of course I'm like, damn, we're not getting out of here. Yeah, we walk out in his front yard. He's got like a makeshift little gazebo looking thing in his front yard of his trailer park. And he read out a little scripture for us and signed it, and we went on our way. So that, and we had no honeymoon. She just went right back. So she had to get back for college and stuff. So we did our honeymoon was we did an all-inclusive like actual wedding with our family like 3 years later. Yeah. So.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry, come back here.
Was that delayed gratification?
Wow.
It's a deep part of me. But no, yeah, I mean, it like just caught us totally off guard. And so we just sent it, and yeah, we're like, well, we'll figure it out later. Like you're going to college. We don't have any money. I'm down here trying to figure out, how to get out of the dorms. And so yeah, it took us a while, but yeah, it was a good story. And
how long were y'all
happily
married
ever after?
till the first baby?
Wow. Let's see. 2010 to 26 years, I guess. 2016.
Oh, okay.
No, no, no,
Okay.
no. That's
Well,
wrong. Is it wrong? No, that's right. Yeah, 'cause my boy's going to be 9 this year. So we're coming up on 16 years. But yeah, 6 years after we got married. Yeah, pregnant with the boy. So
that's cool, dude. That's cool. I
it's
I
cool. It's
oftentimes
not a typical story, but it is cool. It's
no,
very unique.
and well, y'all are also like high school sweethearts, right?
Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. So yeah,
Yeah.
we have been together for shoot, I mean, a long time at that point already. So
Yeah, nah, me and Kim were just
not as cool as you
bar
guys as
bar fighting buddies, dude. I didn't. That was it. Like I didn't. I just,
uh
I was like, she's hot and crazy. That's my speed.
and
But
yeah.
that's super cool, dude. We talk about that often. I'm trying to. I know that was our short story, and we're wrapping, but we all always talk about, and neither one of us would change it, right? Because I mean, I think it obviously like it worked out for the best, but we don't think we know. Like we
Yeah.
cut ourselves short, on like who knows what kind of it. Probably rightfully so because we might not have survived it, but we kind of cut ourselves short with having kids so early, because you should grow up
Right.
once you're bringing a little one in. But nah, dude, y'all are so fun to watch, dude. The whole package is
Uh
just fun. But and all that makes perfect sense.
yeah,
Makes
checks.
perfect sense.
Must be some kind
Yeah.
of yeah, it worked out for both of us. So
Maybe that is the way. You know what I
man,
mean?
go out there and find a hillbilly to marry you and hey,
Yeah, dude.
good omen
Fire
on
and
you.
forget, dude.
Oh,
Get it.
that's a
Get
good
to it.
yeah, that's a good way to wrap. So unless you have final thoughts, we'll see you guys next time.
Right on.
Later.